Hey guys, it's Ross Scott, and on the Space Couch today I'm going to be reviewing this Tiamat's Wrath by James S.A. Book 8 of the Expanse. No spoilers, it was fantastic. So, as I said in my preview video, that it opens on the Laconia Empire event. That event is Christian Avasarala's funeral. She has died, which I was gutted because I absolutely love her. So, she died on Luna at a very, very old age, peacefully in her sleep. And she was going to have a state funeral on Earth because she's former Secretary General of the UN. Incredible figure in human history of that period. But Laconia decides they want to have her mausoleum and funeral on their planet, you know, because history is always written by the winners. And this is them basically co-opting her into their own mythology. So the headlines are all things like The Last Queen of Earth and Death of a Tyrant and Avasarala's Final Farewell, all that sort of thing. And the person that Holden meets there is her granddaughter, Kajiri, known as Kiki, who is basically Avasarala, a younger Avasarala, but exactly like her in every aspect, from the dress to the attitude. And unfortunately, she only appears in that first chapter. I was hoping she would turn up later, but she doesn't. Maybe she will turn up in episode 9. Episode 9, it's like Star Wars, book 9. So the main characters that follows is Naomi, Elvi Okoye, Teresa Duarte, and I forget the other one. That might be Bobby or Alex. I'm not certain. So they're all scattered to the winds. Holden is a political prisoner on Laconia. Occasional meetings with the Emperor, occasional meetings with Teresa Duarte, you know, for curiosity and what can you learn from the dancing bear. That's how he describes himself. Ancient kings used to keep a dancing bear in court, and despite the fact it's a dangerous creature, it is the least dangerous thing in the court because it's been neutered. So that's his situation. He's just stuck there with no hope of getting away. Naomi is basically coordinating the resistance across the rest of the Gate worlds, running ships, as I mentioned in the preview video, smuggling ships inside other ships, transferring them through various way stations to get to other systems so they can carry out their various missions. Alex and Bobby are no longer with Naomi. They are on one of those missions. They're attached to a different group. And the Rossi has been put into mothball storage on one of the worlds in case they need it later. So that's what they are up to. Elvi, she is basically a scientist, and I had forgotten all about her character. It's only when they mentioned later in it that she was one of the original group on Illis from Cibola Burn that I remembered her. So she has been in the Expanse for a very long time, exploring the protomolecule. And there are these dead systems where there's no inhabitable planets and odd things are there. Say the Jupiter-sized diamond. Another one, they're like giant crystal flowers. It was unclear if they were on the planet or just floating in space. And another system, and again it's been cleared out for like a light year or more, every single grain of dust, is basically a neutron star at the point of collapse before it goes into a black hole, but has been at that point of collapse for billions of years probably. Basically leftover protomolecule tech that's just running on autopilot. So Duarte wants to know how can the things that destroyed the protomolecule builders be attacked. So he's like sending through ships through the gate at that speed where it'll get eaten, but with bombs, antimatter bombs, to like get their attention. And it does. There's one of those events where everybody loses consciousness for a time. I think across all of the worlds. It was unclear if it was across all of the worlds. And that is why Elvi is in that neutron star system. And she realised what they have done, because their experiment was trying to trigger a response. That neutron star, on that perfect point just before collapsing into a black hole, there's now some extra mass in that system that's drifting in to that neutron star. And if it does take on that mass, which it's going to do because physics, then it's going to turn into a black hole. And that is what happens. Releases a vast amount of energy and straight line to the gate, and to the gate beyond that gate, the one that's on the opposite side of the gate mechanism, and it destroys the gate. or seals it off rather, that destroys the other gate as well, trapping 80,000 people on that world, light years away from anything. And also triggers a huge energetic reaction that everything that was in the gate space, so like Medina Station, one of the Laconian Magnetar class battle cruisers, all the other ships, everything gone like that. Completely wiped out. So that's a big worry that they have been noticed. And it's not good news. So that's all very terrifying that they have now been noticed. But the whole consciousness thing isn't affecting humans the way it affected the protomolecule builders, because they were a hive mind. Losing their concentration or their consciousness essentially wiped them all out. It doesn't do that to us. So they're very worried. But that never stops crazy scientists like Cortazar or insane emperors like Duarte wanting to continue to make sure they've got its attention so they can negotiate with it. It's like, you're mad. There's no negotiating with that. But because Duarte, if you recall from the previous book, has been treated with the protomolecule so he can be immortal, one king to rule the entire empire for eternity, when that loss of consciousness happens, when everybody snaps back, he is not the same. He's basically, he's gone mentally. He's just like, all this sort of stuff. So the Emperor is out of commission. Everything now falls onto his daughter, Teresa, and she's got her own agenda. Cortazar, who was treating her father to be immortal, is saying he wants to do the same to her, just in case anything had ever happened to the Emperor. There should be someone to take charge. But basically his plan is to kill her, dissect her, and use what he finds to treat himself, so he can be immortal. That is his real plan. You can imagine that does not go very well. Bobby and Alex, they are on their various missions. When the event happens with the neutron star exploding into a black hole and all the stuff getting wiped out in the gate space, they realise they've got a chance to strike a blow at Laconia. So there is one of, because there are only 3 Magnetar class battle cruisers, the one that's been destroyed, one in Sol system, and one in Laconia system protecting the homeworld of the Empire. So they come up with a plan to use antimatter bombs to destroy the one in the Sol system. Big attack. It does not go well for the good guys. And unfortunately, the only way they can take out that Magnetar class battle cruiser is for Bobby to fly towards it with the bombs through space. Like when she was surfing that nuclear missile in one of the earlier books, that's the only way they can take out the battle cruiser. And it's a worthy death, although it was another death of a main character. And it's like, no, not Bobby. I love her. She's awesome. But it was a worthy death. It's how she would have wanted to have gone. Badass Martian Marine to the end, taking out the enemy. So it was a real shame to lose her, but she had a big impact, and she's opened the door basically for Sol to reclaim its freedom, because they no longer have that unstoppable battleship there. So they're down 2 Magnetar class battle cruisers, and it's all starting to look very, very dicey. So then after that, let's make sure I haven't forgotten anything, Naomi, who is now in charge of the Resistance, she was coordinating things before with her contacts on Medina Station, but now that it is gone, she is the head of the Resistance, essentially. So she's decided, we are going to lay siege to the Laconia system. They are now vulnerable, and we can take them. What they want to do, their plan, is to destroy the orbital construction platforms that were discovered around Laconia, the original tech from the protomolecule builders, and destroy them so they can make no more of those really bizarre Magnetar-class battleships that no one can defeat. And that is her plan. But in the meantime, there is another event happens with loss of consciousness, and this time it lasts nearly half an hour. Yeah, so bad things are happening. They have really been noticed by the entity that is between the gates. But still, it seems like that is all that is happening, is this loss of consciousness. I'm sure there's going to be more to it in due course. So the siege of Laconia actually goes quite well. They do destroy the platforms. But then they get a distress call, Naomi's ship. And Alex is on it. I think it might actually be the Rocinante. It is the Rocinante they brought out of mothballs to help lead this charge onto Laconia. Because when Holden was first taken prisoner, not long after that, Amos volunteered to try and extract him, and nothing was heard from him since, so they had to assume that he was dead. He's not dead. He is hidden up in a cave near the capital city of Laconia, and he's made contact with Teresa Duarte, because she's the typical rebellious teen trying to get out and explore and do things, make new friends, go her own way, insofar as that's ever possible for someone in her position. And she has met Timothy, as she knows him, and she's friends with him. But she's got a tracking device in her jaw, and when that second event happens, they're all looking for her to make sure that she is safe. The Laconians find the cave, find Amos. Amos takes bullets to the head and the chest, to everywhere, and he is dead on the floor. They take Teresa back to the palace, and later it turns out the body is gone. Amos's body is gone. Because on Laconia, it being like lots of the ancient tech, there are these repair drones, basically. I think they were kind of like insect-like, probably about the size of cats or something. And they will repair anything, including dead bodies. Because Cortazar has been experimenting on 2 kids who died, were rebuilt by the protomolecule, and it's unclear if they have been brought back to life, or if they're just simulacra of these original personalities, and it's just a protomolecule. He believes it's the latter. I think Elvie believes it's the former. So Amos gets reconstituted by the protomolecule. So during the siege of Laconia, Teresa, she decides, this is my chance to escape, because she knows her father is just like this. There's no saving him. There's no saving Laconia. Everyone's going to die if the war doesn't stop, and they start concentrating on what is really important, which is, of course, the big bad wolf that's out there. So she busts Holden out of prison, and they escape, because in Amos's cave that she had been to, there's basically what would you call, like a beckon call, so he can summon an extraction, and she summons the extraction with Holden during the middle of the siege of Laconia, as the platforms get destroyed, for the Rocinante to come and get them. And as that's happening, Amos turns back up again. It's kind of, hey Amos, you look a bit different. Because how they describe Duarte, the Emperor Duarte, and it's true for everyone who is basically these like protomolecule reconstructions, is that their skin is kind of grey and pale, as well as being dark at the same time, clearly protomolecule infected. So he looks like that, but he's got all of his memories. And they said, why didn't you kill the girl? I mean, the Emperor's daughter, high-value target. But you know Amos, he has his own particular code of ethics and honour. And it's like, why would I kill a girl? She's a nice kid. I like her. She's my friend. So he doesn't kill her. That didn't stop the Laconians from killing him first time round. But anyway, they do all get off of Laconia. Teresa, Holden, Amos, Naomi, and Alex on the Rocinante, and they do escape through the gates. Oh, now that Laconia has been completely neutralised, it can no longer project its power. They're not going to risk that final Magnetar battleship, whatever it is. They're not going to risk it lightly, you know, because that's the only thing they've got left now. So that's basically where it ends. The final chapter, again, is Holden as a viewpoint character, and he is barely in this. He pops up from time to time in conversations with Cortazar, Elvie, Teresa, Duarte, the Emperor again, I mean. But he's not a main character or a viewpoint character, apart from the beginning and the end. And at the end, he's kind of like talking to Amos, it's like saying, so, Amos, how you doing? Because you're a bit different. And, yeah, I know a lot more now. Do you? What do you know now, Amos? He says, well, I'll tell you what I do know. The things that killed the protomolecule builders, they're going to kill us all. And Holden says, yeah, I know that too. And that is where it ends. I was a bit surprised that there was not more of a build-up or even introduction, more than there was in the book, of this entity that is attacking them through the gates. Because that means book 9 is going to have to be all about that. This is where I think George R.R. Martin's influence has become apparent, because obviously one of them was his writing assistant. George R.R. Martin, The Song of Ice and Fire, it's all about the war, but that hasn't even happened right till the very end, which is a little bit frustrating, but I don't mind because I do love The Expanse. I'm sure that will get covered in the 9th book. It's going to have to, because there's only one book left and there's so much plot left. They've got to have this war and win or lose it, and then have to move on and carry on after. But yes, it's a terrific book. So much detail. I may have gotten places and names and events confused, because you know how intricate it is. So my apologies for that if that is indeed the case. But yes, this does not disappoint. This never disappoints, this series. I'm going to miss this when it's gone, because there's only one more book to go, and that'll be next year, I expect, outside chance of it being the very tail end of this year. But yeah, Tiamat's Wrath, a worthy follow-on to, Persepolis Rising. And I can't wait to see what happens next. But yes, great stuff. All the characters are awesome. Like I said, I was very sad to lose Avasarala, and very, very sad to lose Bobby Draper, but it did drive the plot forward. And obviously Avasarala was very old by that time, because these books had jumped forward 30 years, and she wasn't young before the jump, but she had a peaceful death. And I'm sure her granddaughter will take her place in the new political structures that are going to be forming now that the Laconian Empire is essentially dead in the water. So yes, thoroughly enjoyed it. Highly recommended. The Expanse by James S.A. Corey, Book 8, Tiamat's Wrath. Let me know what you think when you've read it. And like I said, full spoilers have been throughout this, so I hope I have not enjoyed any of your enjoyment. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.